Hey there YouTube, welcome back to the channel. I want to go over this real quick. A laptop. I haven't reviewed any laptops, so I hope this one is alright. This is the Asus X551MA. The X5 series from Asus is pretty darn popular and it's been around for a very, very long time. This is the latest installment. This laptop came out in April, I think, of 2015. And it does a pretty darn good job. So I want to go over this real quick. Because I'm not using this anymore. This is kind of a guinea pig machine because I've got a desktop for most of my production stuff, but this used to run my production software for the YouTube channel. Anyway, it's kind of hard to see just because of the color. This kind of has a textured sort of front. Kind of looks like a piece of sandpaper. And it works out pretty nice. Unfortunately, it does collect a lot of dust and other things like that. My cat likes to sleep on this. This is kind of her computer rather than mine. It's an all-plastic build. It is pretty darn thin for a full-size laptop. It's just under an inch in depth at its thickest point towards the middle here. All-plastic build, pretty darn nice. The specs are not out of this world, but it's really, really good for the $250 price tag. Computers are definitely getting a lot cheaper. Chrome boxes, Chrome books. Chrome's really been driving, Google and Chrome has really been driving down the price of all the laptops. So a lot of these Windows manufacturers are coming together to put out some inexpensive laptops, and it's all driving down the price. This is only $250. You can get it for as low as $225, but it's not gaming grade. You're not going to be, you know, hardcore gaming graphics. You can't run like Adobe Premiere or other things like that on it, but it's okay. Real quick, I'm going to go around the laptop and then we'll talk about kind of what's inside. This is the right side of the laptop where you'll normally find your CD drive. There is no CD drive here. That is pretty darn old technology. I rarely use one. You can put one in here, but this is just a blank cover for it. You've got the Kensington lock if you somehow need to lock it. On the back, there's nothing. Dell are really the only idiots that put things on the back of laptops foolishly. On the left side is normally where everything happens. You've got your power, and I'm not going to dig out the power adapter. If you've seen an Asus power adapter, they are all exactly the same. You've got a little exhaust vent here on the side to let all that air out. You've got a gigabit Ethernet port, VGA, which I'm confused why they still put that on there, but apparently a lot of people still use that. HDMI, USB 2.0, USB 3.0, and a headphone microphone combo jack. Now you can't use headphone and microphone at the same time unless you have a splitter. So let's say you want to do some really lightweight gaming on this, and you can, like indie games. You'll have to get a headphone microphone little splitter, and then you'll be able to use that. And then on the front here, there's nothing except right down here at the bottom you've got your SD card reader, and that reads a couple different variants of SD cards. So real quick, the specs. It's got a 15-inch screen, which is okay. It's not great. It's okay. It's glossy, so you can obviously see me in the reflection, which is fine. It is not a 1080p 4K. Keep in mind, it's $250. So the resolution is 1366 by 768. So it's technically a 720p screen, ever so slightly better than that. The keyboard's really nice. Love the layout of the keyboard. You still have the full number pad over here, which is great. I don't know if you'll be able to see it. It's kind of hard to get in there. But down here is kind of like the sandpaper graded grooved pattern that's in here, which is the same on the front of the case. And then this up here kind of has the brushed metal look to it. It's kind of hard to see, but it's got a brushed metal look into the plastic there, which is pretty nice. The trackpad on here is horrendous. It doesn't have actual buttons down here. Everything is kind of like the Mac where you can just touch anywhere and you can click anywhere. But if it does have left and right click, so you can right click over here and left click over here. This is just like painted on. It's not even actual like division. It's all one button. So the unfortunate part is when you try to click on something, this also counts as a trackpad down here. This is not an actual like button because the whole thing's a trackpad and the whole thing is a button. Problem with that is when you go to like right click something, it thinks that you've moved. So you have to be either really precise or try to get it like 3 times in a row to actually click without moving your mouse accidentally. My cat stepped on it a couple of times. Even though I did get this in April, I've torn this apart way too many times to upgrade it. Obviously, that's why I have these stickers over here. Yours will only come with the Energy Star and the Intel sticker. I just made some upgrades to this, quick and easy upgrades, which we'll talk about in a second. But the trackpad actually doesn't work for me anymore because my cat has stepped on it way too many times, which is why I use a little Logitech wireless keyboard or wireless mouse, which is way better anyway, and most people will use that anyway unless you're really on the go and you need that added portability and you can't somehow carry a wireless mouse with you. So that's about it for this. Typing experience is great. Everything from here down is not so great. Screen's good. Don't have a problem with the screen. It does have a built-in webcam at the top, if I can maneuver this over here. Built-in webcam and microphone up there. It's nothing too impressive. I think it's like 5 megapixel. But it's okay if you want to do some Skype or you know, YouTube or something like that. You definitely can use it for that. But it's not fantastic. Keep in mind, $250. I think I got mine for actually less than that. It's $250 right now. I think when I pre-ordered this, it was like $220 or something like that. So that's it for that. I won't turn it on just because it's preloaded with Windows 8.1, which we'll get into in a second. I have Windows 10 running on it because this is kind of a guinea pig machine right now, and your experience will be different. I'm only going over the laptop as a product, not getting into the software because they'll all be slightly different. So in terms of specs, which we'll talk about in a second, we'll start with the battery. You notice the battery you cannot take out. You can't remove it. There's no clips. There's no nothing. It is built into the device, which is okay. I think a lot of batteries get damaged because they have the ability to be taken out. But if you really, really use this laptop for, 5 or 6 years, you'll definitely have to replace this battery. It can be done, but it's not as easy as, flipping a couple tabs and then pulling the battery out. So, on the inside, it has Intel's new 2015 mobile processor, and it is the Baytrail processor. It's wonderful. It's dual core, which is not fantastic, but it hyper-threads, so it becomes 4 cores. And the clock speed of it is 2.17 gigahertz stock, but it can overclock itself, depending on the demand, up to 2.5 gigahertz. You've got a little exhaust vent here. It has 4 gig of RAM, which is okay. Most people don't normally need more than 4 gig of RAM, especially in a laptop like this. You're not going to be doing any heavy gaming. And you cannot upgrade the RAM in this. You can't open this up, the RAM, and find a RAM slot and then upgrade the RAM in here. This RAM is soldered into the motherboard. Unless you can desolder something and solder in new SODIMM chips, good luck. So 4 gigs of RAM, which is fine. This is not a gaming laptop by any stretch of the imagination. Do not buy this cheap laptop thinking, oh, this is the best thing ever. I'm going to conquer the internet with it and play all these ultra high-res video games at ultimate settings and play Adobe, use Adobe Suite on this. No, it's not going to happen. This is the very generic user, average consumer, don't go spending $2,000 on your kid for some MacBook Pro when all he's going to use it for is a Facebook machine. So if you want a Facebook machine, if you're on the internet checking emails, doing some basic word processing, some light programs, even light gaming, indie games, other things like that, you want to use this for retro console. You've got some emulators on that. Good idea. Don't go buying, the brand new Grand Theft Auto 5 for PC and expecting to run this on, 60 frames at ultra settings. Not going to happen. Intel HD 4000 graphics that are in this, and they're okay. What else can I tell you about this? No optical drive, like I had mentioned before. That's just a blank plate. You can take this apart, and I've done it way too many times. And you can put a CD drive in here if you want. Blu-ray drive, CD drive, whatever. The connector is in here. You can do that. I have a second hard drive in here. You have to get a little adapter, and there's 2 hard drives in here. The first one is right here. You've got these 2 little nubs to help protect it in case of a fall, and this little cutout right here at the bottom is for that. Let's see, what else? It's easy to take apart, pretty darn easy, but keep in mind the screws are all different. It's kind of weird. The 2 screws up here are the same size. The screws on the 4 corners are the same size, but there's about 10 screws that you have to take off on the back, and then the whole back doesn't actually come off. You have to take the keyboard off, and once you take the keyboard off, then everything is underneath it. And you can upgrade it. I put a Kingston SSD in it. There's a 120 gig SSD in here, so everything is nice and fast. Speaking of which, with Windows 8.1 that comes preloaded on this, the hard drive in here is a 500 gig hard drive, which is good, but it's only a 5400 RPM drive. That is the slowest hard drive that they make. And unfortunately, with Windows 8.1, after a couple months of use, you'll find that things get slow. There are programs in there on Windows 8.1 that really bog down this hard drive. And SSD is a definite upgrade that I would recommend. Very easy to do. Take all the screws on the back off. This is one big piece. This kind of pops up if you kind of pry the corner there, and you'll be able to see everything, get into everything. Add another. I put the 500 gig hard drive over here with a little adapter for additional storage, but I have a 120 gig SSD boot drive that's right here in the corner, and it's very, very easy to do. Maybe I'll do a video of that if you guys are interested. So there are definite upgrades that you can do with this. And SSD is something that I recommend because some of the new operating systems like Windows 8.1 and Windows 10 on an older hard drive, even a 7200 RPM mechanical hard drive, you'll definitely experience some performance issues with the built-in software that it comes with. Don't get me wrong, Microsoft software is pretty darn good, but it is also, becoming taxing on some PCs. What else? It weighs 5 pounds. It's pretty darn portable. I've never had a problem with it. If you do take the back off, you can replace the battery, and there are bigger batteries. I get about 8 hours of hard use on this. I've gotten between 8 and 12 hours depending on your load. Charges pretty darn quickly. Lightweight. Screen's very good. The trackpad is really my biggest complaint, and the hard drive. The 500 gig hard drive is kind of unacceptable. But if you go the route that I did, where you've got the SSD and the additional drive it came with under here for storage, you'll be in pretty darn good shape. So you can definitely get this laptop to be pretty darn quick for not too much money. So that's kind of my review on this $250 laptop. Easy to upgrade it and turn it into a $400 or $500 laptop. This is just kind of my guinea pig machine. Nowadays, I don't use it for too much more. I've got the big desktop below me that I use for my video production, and I have a whole bunch of other computers that you may have seen in my battle station room for different tasks. So that's basically the review on this. If I missed anything, leave a comment in the comment section below. Like the video if you like it, dislike it if you dislike it. And stay tuned. We've got a lot more videos coming up in the next few weeks. I think actually today's Friday, and on Sunday I'm actually going skydiving. So hopefully we'll have the skydiving video up early next week if you're on for that. So this has been a quick review on the Asus X551MA. I will link it in the section below, so if you are interested, you can go out and purchase your own. All right, guys, we will see you in the next one. Thanks.